Hello, and welcome to Rise Up For You TV. My name is Lauren Sweeney, and I'm our Vice President. Did you know that there's 5 key steps to really creating transformation as a strategic coach? And whether that looks like you're an entrepreneur and you have clients, or you sit on the executive team of a large company, or perhaps you're a new leader emerging and supervising direct reports. No matter what the case is, we all need the skills of being able to be a good coach. So what are they? Well, in this coaching series, you are going to hear from some of our experts. We've already heard from Netta Nasruddin, our CEO, and we have special treats coming up with some of the best in the industry. First, today, I want to take time and go over 5 key steps and pull from some of the great works on strategic coaching. Let's dive in and talk about them now, because it can really make a difference for you and the transformation of others. 5 steps to coaching and creating transformation. Number 1, we want to build trust and safety. And you may say, well, this is kind of obvious, Lauren, but we want to set ourselves up for success. So we want to have a good context. In Brené Brown's book, Dare to Lead, you will hear several instances of being able to co-actively coach. What do I mean by that? Transformation begins with psychological safety. So whether or not you're coaching a direct report or a client, or maybe for having a coaching moment inside of a board meeting, you want to create a space where others can feel seen and heard. You don't want them to feel judged. And that's why being an incredible coach takes a lot of emotional intelligence. We need to be able to show empathy, actively listen, authentic curiosity, because without this type of safety, there can't be any vulnerability. And without vulnerability, it's very difficult to make changes and to grow. Now, I do want to remind us that, as Netta stated in our very first episode of our Rise Up For You TV coaching series, we aren't therapists. We're also not life coaches. When you are a leadership coach or you do leadership coaching to create transformation in others, it really isn't about ourselves. It is about the other person. Although our experience and what they're going through can make a big difference. So key practices in step number 1 is we want to listen more than we speak. We want to ask permission before giving feedback. And you heard Netta give an example of that. May I have your permission to push you a little harder, for example? And you want to reflect what you hear to validate their experience. For example, you might ask, what would make this space feel safe for you to explore what is really going on? Then sometimes I will even put my hand on my chest to show empathy. Let's move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is to increase our self-awareness. And really, if we look inside of emotional intelligence, there's also a great study done by the Arbinger Institute. Transformation starts with seeing ourselves clearly, seeing our blind spots, our strengths, and our limiting beliefs. And therefore, it's important that as coaches, we do the work as well. And that is why when Rise Up For You goes into organizations and helps their leaders be better leaders, we always start with self-awareness and self-management first. And often we do get pushback from some in the organization that will say, well, why do I need to do that touchy-feely stuff? We'll sometimes hear people say. And that is because of this. The step number 2 is that if I don't increase my own self-awareness, it will be difficult for me as a coach to act as a mirror to help individuals uncover patterns, triggers, and assumptions. In fact, many people from our team just went to a 4-day personal development conference with one of the best really in the industry. And there was almost 17,000 people at this conference working on our personal development, because if we work on ourselves, we are then able to support others. Remember, we can't change another, as it states in what emotional intelligence is, but we can help influence others. So using assessments like we use at Rise Up For You, a 360 EQ assessment, a 9 competency confidence assessment, and a 6-pillar strengths assessment on what does success look like to us. These are all important tools. For example, a good question in stage number 2 would be, what do you notice about yourself in the moments where you feel unsure or you hadn't seen before? Or what did you notice in that moment when you gave feedback that felt really difficult? These kinds of interactions will help the individual be able to go a little bit deeper. It will help explore the story behind maybe a choice or an emotion that the person that you're coaching is dealing with. Let's move on to stage number 3. Remember, this is Rise Up For You TV, a special coaching edition. Today, I am sharing 5 different areas that you need to focus on to be an incredible coach. Number 3 is clarify the vision and the intent. And this is inspired by Simon Sinek on his book, Start With Why. Also, it's talked about in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You see, transformation requires direction. We need to help our clients or our direct reports clarify what they really want. Not just external goals, but internal alignment with purpose and values. We need to explore their why before their how and distinguish between what they think they should do versus what they want to do. We need to reconnect their goals to meaning and purpose. So, for example, as a coach, you might ask, if success looked and felt authentic to you, what would be different? Or what would success look like to you? In our 6 competency success assessment, based on the World Happiness Report, we do ask that. We ask if we were to move the needle 1% in one of these different areas like health, money, career, romance, people intelligence, or self-worth, what would that look like? Let's move on and cover part number 4. This is inspired both by Atomic Habits, great read, and The Coaching Habit, really incredible book as well. We need to design aligned action. This is where we kind of create a bridge. So we need insight, fantastic. We really helped create insight, hopefully in part number 3. But insight without action is inspiration. And well, that's nice, it wears off. And action without insight is just being reactive. But transformation requires integrating both. So we need insight and action. See, as a good coach, we want to help clients translate awareness into small, consistent habits that lead to lasting change. So for example, we want to co-create specific, measurable, time-bound actions before the end of each session. We want to break our goals into micro habits that will help build confidence. We want to identify potential barriers and give support. So for example, in this stage, we might ask, what is one small step you can take this week that aligns with your bigger vision? You also heard on our first episode of this special series that we might try role playing here so that the individual can get into the flow. All right, step number 5. And this is inspired by the Mindset book by Carol Dweck. Fantastic book, really talks about fixed and growth mindset, and The Art of Possibility by Xander and Xander, another incredible book. This step 5 is called the growth loop. We want to help those we're coaching reflect, reinforce, and refine. You see, transformation is not a straight line. As a coach, we help guide and we help people get to a place of reflecting, pausing, celebrating progress, reframing setbacks as learning opportunities. See, in this stage, we really help those we're coaching reflect on what has worked, what hasn't, what's next. We want to anchor learning with maybe journaling, role-playing, discussion. We want to celebrate our growth and not just achievement. So for example, as a good question in section 5, you might ask, what did you learn about yourself in this process? How will you apply it moving forward? We also hear this type of forward feedback inside of Radical Candor, an incredible book on giving feedback as a leader. So the 5 steps to being an incredible coach. Number 1, create an environment of safety. Confidentiality as well. Number 2, increase our own self-awareness. That's very important. Number 3, help those we're coaching understand their vision and their values alignment. Number 4, help them take action. And number 5, help them reflect. This cyclical model allows us as leaders to evolve continuously and help those that we're coaching create transformation. Here at Rise Up For You, we are committed to helping leaders around the globe have transformative moments for themselves and those around them. If you would like more information on our coaching certification, please head over to riseupforyou.com and click on Rise Certification. This is Lauren Sweeney coming to you live from Rise Up For You TV, and we will see you in the next episode.